We are the masters of our own fate. I'm sure you've heard this quote, but have you ever asked yourself, are you? Are you the master of your own fate? Because the premise of this quote lies in the belief that free will exists. So the question is, does free will exist? Well, according to Sam Harris, free will is just an illusion. And that's the idea that he tries to convey through his book, Free Will. This book does a pretty good job in debunking the notion of free will. Reading this book was eye-opening for me, and at the same time it was a shock to my belief system, as it made me realize that actually none of us have free will. Now, what we consider as free will is nothing more than we acting based on our wants and our desires. Now, if you think about it, you will realize that your wants or your desires are not created by you. It somehow appeared in your consciousness, but you were not its creator. So the two main arguments that Sam Harris uses to debunk the notion of free will are, you're not the author of your own thoughts and desires, and you're completely oblivious of the next thing that you're about to think. The second argument that he uses comes from the philosophical idea of determinism, and determinism advocates causality. So according to determinism, every thought that you're having and every decision that you've ever made in your life is influenced by a series of prior causes. And this includes the genes that you possess, the parents that you have, the country in which you're born, the circumstances that you were exposed to, and much more. Now, something that I experienced as I was reading this book was that some part of me was constantly trying to rebuttal the arguments put forward by Sam Harris, because like most of the people, I also felt comfortable believing that I am in control of my life, that I hold the steering wheels of my life. And that's when the realization struck me that even the attempt that I was making to disagree with what Sam Harris was saying was a result of a thought that was not authored by me. Now, yes, it was me who was trying to disagree with the statements that Sam Harris made in this book, but the want in me to disagree with what Sam Harris was saying was not my making. That thought appeared in my mind and I acted upon it. So now it kind of makes sense to me. We are not as free as we think we are. In fact, we are the prisoners of our own thoughts and desires. Now, regarding the author of this book, Sam Harris is an American neuroscientist, a philosopher, and a New York Times best-selling author. His bestsellers include Making Sense, The Four Horsemen, Waking Up, The Moral Landscape, and A Letter to a Christian Nation. Now, I first came to know about Sam Harris from this video of a conversation that he was having with Professor Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, and Daniel Dennett. This video is called The Four Horsemen, and it's a beautiful conversation between some of the finest intellectuals of our times. And this video is available on YouTube. So if you're interested in watching this video, I've shared this link down in the description. Now, this book also talks about how coming in terms with the idea that free will is just an illusion will affect the individual, our political system, and our justice system. Because imagine this, in order to punish a person for the crimes that they have committed, it's important to assume that they are solely responsible for their thoughts and their actions. In other words, they had free will. Now, if we take away the notion of free will, we can notice that these people are not solely responsible for their thoughts and actions. In fact, they themselves were victims of a poor upbringing, bad parenting, unfortunate circumstances, and whatnot. Now, looking at things from this perspective does two things to you. First of all, you will start to realize how lucky you are that you were not born with the mind of a mass murderer or a rapist. And there's no credit that you can take here. It was just sheer luck that you were born the way you are and not like someone else. Another thing that's going to happen is that you will start seeing the bigger picture, because usually when we hear about a heinous crime, we are outraged, we condemn the act of crime, and we demand that the perpetrator of the crime should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. But when we consider the fact that our thoughts and desires are not authored by us, we start viewing these crimes in a different light. Rather than just isolating the fact that a person has committed a crime, it allows us to look into the circumstances under which this person made the decision to do the things that he did. And from there, we can look into what are the steps that could be taken to prevent people from taking similar decisions in the future. So it's more like being proactive rather than being reactive. Free Will is a short read. It's only around 100 pages long, but it's a very insightful book. So if you're someone who's a firm believer of the notion of free will, I would highly recommend you to read this book, as it will give you a better understanding of what free will actually is and why Sam Harris calls it an illusion. Alright, so that concludes the review of Free Will by Sam Harris. I hope this video was informative. And if you're interested in getting a copy of this book, I've dropped the link down in the description of this video. And Sam Harris has also given several talks on the topic of free will. And this video right here, it covers almost all the contents of this book. So if you prefer watching the video instead, you can check this video out. Its link is available in the description. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again with another book review. Until then, bye, take care, and have a great day.